Breaking the Barriers of Poverty, presented by Tattnall County Poverty Peer Team, Brooke Anderson, Alexis Farrell, Sarah Jacques, April McFadden, Kimberly Scott. Classroom management. As teachers, we need consistent expectations and procedures. Share your expectations with students, discuss, and practice. Be sure to know answers to questions like, where do I line up before entering the classroom? How do I enter the room? What materials do I need to get out for class? How do I know what we are doing today? When am I free to speak? When should I just listen, revisit, model, and practice throughout the year? Remember to be organized. Organization will eliminate unnecessary distractions and provide structure. Students should know the answers to questions like, where do I turn in papers? Where are materials for class if I need them? Just give them the pencil. Remember to pick your battles. What do I do after an absence? Where can I find what assignments I missed? High expectations are necessary. Conveying compassion for students while holding them to high standards can help improve equity in education. No matter a student's socioeconomic background, your expectations should be the same for all. Research shows that students of poverty are called upon less and are given a different level of questioning than others. Students will meet whatever expectation you set. All students need to believe they are capable and know that you believe they are capable. Building student and parent relationships. It isn't about what we have to do, it is about who we get to do it for. I believe that connection between parents, teacher, and student is the most important. Parent-teacher relationship. Keep parents well informed about expectations and what is happening in your classroom. Have an open line of communication. Contact parents with the positives, not just the negatives. Building strong student relationships will lead to strong parent relationships. Teacher-student relationship. Building student relationships is the most useful tool we as teachers have. We are family. Be real with your students. Share things about yourself with your students. Make them feel connected. And be a champion for your students. Here are a few things I do to build student relationships. I have short chats with my students during downtime. I ask questions about their weekend. I ask questions about hobbies and talents. I post pictures of my personal family, and that opens up communications about family. I ask questions of students' interests and favorites. We find things that we have in common with one another. During recess, I play with them. I walk and talk with them, and I sit and chat with them. I go to ball games, dance recitals, or anything they are active in outside of school. This shows the student and parent that you care more about just the student they are.
Identifying social and emotional trauma and building relationships. The high school level, it is a process. Just what is social and emotional trauma? Social trauma is hurt, humiliation, or rejection that a student may receive in a social situation. A student that is bullied, online or in person, can experience social trauma. Emotional trauma is the result of experiences that has left a student with feelings of helplessness and sadness. It can result from a single event or be a part of ongoing experiences such as abuse and discrimination. Step 1. Set the classroom atmosphere. When students enter my classroom on the first day of the semester, I am proactive in setting the atmosphere. I tell the students that we are a family. I set expectations. I communicate with parents or guardians by mass email, phone calls, text, and remind one-on-one. I present information for students to get to know me and provide activities to get to know the students. Step 1 continued weekly power. Each Monday at the beginning of class, I facilitate a segment called Weekly Power. Weekly Power consists of a motivational quote or riddle, a relatable story from my life or experiences, and a quick discussion to empower them. Step 2, show interest and mean it. I show true interest in their lives or circumstances. I ask the class how their day is going or how their weekend or previous day was. I go around individually as I check their warm up assignment and I check in on them. I ask, how are you feeling today? It is often during this time I notice things that may not seem right. These things can be a sad demeanor, a sign of frustration, a physical need, or a change in how they say, I'm okay. Step 2 continued. Show interest and provide. I provide what they need academically, emotionally, mentally, and physically. I have a snack box and a drink shelf for students. I do my best to encourage them. If they say I can't, I tell them, say I can't, but also say I will try. And also, I reverse the negative words with positive. Step 2 continued. Listen and not hear. Their culture is not that bad. I listen to and do not just hear their conversations. I listen to the students' conversations not to be nosy, but to know what is within the walls of my classroom. By doing this, I have been able to provide help to students that wouldn't necessarily feel comfortable talking to another adult or me. I'm also able to stop possible altercations and provide solutions to issues. I learn about their culture and style. I ask culture based questions like, what is emo? Who's the GOAT? What's the latest pop news? Can you show me the new dance? Can you explain the latest PC game? How many points were on the deer that you shot? And how long did you stay in the deer stand? The results, because of the process that I use in my classroom, I have built relationships with students that continued after they leave my classroom at the end of the semester or school year. Many students are comfortable talking to me about things that they go through. I can pick up on negative signals from my students. When this happens, I am proactive in helping them or seeking the help that they need.
Noticing signs of social emotional trauma and building relationships at the elementary level. Noticing signs of social and emotional trauma. What is social trauma? Social trauma is humiliation and rejection in social situations. What is emotional trauma? Emotional trauma is the result of experiences that leave a person feeling deeply unsafe, insecure, and helpless. Emotional trauma can affect one's ability to cope with their feelings. These traumas can cause a variety of behaviors that we often see in our classroom. What can we do as teachers to help? Step 1, be understanding of the different situations and things our students might be facing. Step 2, be aware of how we respond. Step 3, be a reliable adult who listens and makes them feel safe and secure. Why is it important that we take these steps? As educators, we are often the only consistent adult our students have. When we take the time to help our students with their traumas, students become more responsive to us and what we are teaching. Building relationships. Relationships are the foundation to being an effective teacher. Students want to feel like they matter to you just like we do as adults. If our mission is to first build relationships with students, we will be able to make a longer lasting impact on our students' lives. Knowing students' interests, dislikes, and motivations can be a key factor in building relationships with our students. See the good in each student. Look for the positives that each student brings to the table and let them know those positive things.
Addressing poverty through thoughtful lesson planning. Often students from low SES backgrounds respond well to small, thoughtful changes we can easily plan into our everyday lessons. Cognitive patterns, behaviors, and learning gaps are predictable with students coming from a low SES family. Teachers should plan for all of this. I'm going to be sharing tips that would benefit all students, but would have a particularly positive impact on lower SES students. So my 5 tips are, which I will elaborate on the next slides. 1, be a reading teacher, kind of. 2, develop hope. 3, assess background knowledge and reteach past concepts. 4, consider learning styles. And 5, combat ADHD-related behaviors. The first tip is to be a reading teacher, kind of, and statistically, students from lower SES backgrounds are at a greater risk of reading difficulty. You can expose students to a variety of content-related texts. Make sure to plan time for showing students how to navigate and make sense of the text you include in each day's lesson. Model what you expect. Pre-read text to students before having them read independently. Take time to find selections that are on students' reading levels. The second lesson planning tip is to develop hope. Having hope is a learnable skill, and we can plan on teaching it. Hope has a huge impact on students' grit and success. Scientists have found hopeful students draw on memories of success when they encounter an obstacle. Students from lower SES backgrounds often have a smaller bank of memories to pull from. We can plan to do these things in our lessons to help combat that. Set clear and attainable goals or learning targets. Rigorous lessons with high expectations, but make sure they're still attainable for all your students. Include stories of hope or overcoming adversity in your lesson plans. The third tip is to assess background knowledge and reteach past concepts. Students from a lower SES may have fewer life experiences, which means they are working with a limited amount of background knowledge. Plan for supplemental instruction. Include some type of pre-assessment to get an idea of what you need to include in your upcoming lessons. Go back to prior grade level standards and decide what you need to reteach for them to master your current standard. Include lots of pictures and videos to help students form new and to activate old background knowledge. Think out loud as to model how to make connections or see patterns. This will help students access what background knowledge they may already have. The fourth lesson planning tip is to consider learning styles. Statistically, students from a low SES background are successful when a variety of learning styles are included, especially auditory and kinesthetic. Make sure your lessons address the learning styles of your students. If they are reading or writing, make sure you also plan for them to hear it or see it. Plan interpersonal activities thoughtfully because students from low SES backgrounds often need support and for you to model the skills needed for this type of lesson. The fifth and last tip is to combat ADHD-related behaviors. Students from homes of low SES are more likely to exhibit ADHD-related behaviors. Keep direct instruction simple and structured using visual aids. Plan to break each class period into small segments instead of one long lesson. Include games and friendly competitions. Plan for time at the end of each class period to summarize the day, review the main concepts, and assess your learning target.